So reading from Sri Nityananda Charitamrita, The Life and Pastimes of Lord Nityananda, by Touchstone Media. It's chapter 2 entitled Lord Nityananda's Travelling to the Holy Places. Lord Nityananda enjoyed his pastimes at the house of Hadai Pandit for some time. Then he decided to leave home. However, from fear of separation, his mother and father were unable to allow him to leave. If his mother Parvati did not see him for a moment, she felt this as more than a yuga. His father felt the same. Fearful of his leaving, Hadai Pandit never went anywhere. Whether he went to the field for farming or to the temple or the market or anywhere else, Hadai Pandit repeatedly looked back at Lord Nityananda so that he might not leave home. Hadai Pandit embraced Lord Nityananda again and again, and the Lord's butter-soft body merged in his father's. Hadai went everywhere with Lord Nityananda. Hadai Pandit's life and soul was Lord Nityananda, and Lord Nityananda's body was Hadai Pandit. Lord Nityananda is the indwelling supersoul of everyone. Knowing all this, he tried to give pleasure to his father. One day, by providence, a very attractive sannyasi came to Hadai Pandit's house. Knowing the etiquette for receiving guests, Hadai Pandit welcomed the sannyasi and happily fed him. Lord Nityananda and his father spent the whole night discussing topics of Lord Krishna with the sannyasi. In the early morning, the sannyasi was about to leave. Then he spoke to Hadai Pandit. "I would like to request something from you." "Please tell me whatever it is that you desire," replied Hadai Pandit. "I wish to travel the holy places," the sannyasi said, "but I don't have a good Brahmin companion. Will you please give me your eldest son for a few days? I'll take good care of him, treating him as being dearer than my own life, and at the same time he'll be able to visit all the holy places." Hearing the words of the sannyasi, pure-hearted Hadai Pandit felt intense distress. He thought, "This sannyasi has begged for my very life. At the same time, if I refuse his request, I will be ruined. It is well-known fact that in the past many pious men became glorious by offering their lives to satisfy mendicant sannyasis. Lord Ramachandra was the life and soul of King Dasarath. The holy sage Vishwamitra asked Dasarath to give him his son. The Puranas say that although King Dasarath was unable to live without Lord Ramachandra, he still offered him to the sage. Today the same thing has happened to me. O Krishna, please protect me from this dilemma. The same situation is here, so why should I not have the same mind as Dasarath? Lakshman has now appeared in my family as Nityananda." Thinking like this, the Brahmin Hadai Pandit went before his wife and explained the situation to her in detail. Hearing of the dilemma from her husband, the chaste Padmavati, the mother of the universe, said, "My lord, do whatever you think is best. That is my opinion." Hadai Pandit then came before the sannyasi and, with his head bent down, offered him his son. Taking Nityananda with him, the sannyasi departed. In this way, Lord Nityananda left home. As soon as Lord Nityananda left home, Hadai Pandit fell senseless to the ground. Who can describe the lamentation and the crying of Hadai Pandit? Even wood and stone melted in hearing his lamentation. Hadai became stunned due to his absorption in devotional mellows, and people began to say that he had become a madman. He did not eat any grain for 3 months. He survived only by the mercy of Lord Krishna. It is natural that due to attachment, both the Lord and his servants are unable to leave one another. This is the inconceivable nature of the Lord and the Vaishnavas. Lord Kapila manifested indifference, and he left his widowed mother Devahuti. Sukadeva Goswami left his Vaishnava father, Srila Vyasadeva, without even looking back. Lord Chaitanya, the crest jewel among the sannyasis, left home, leaving his mother Sachi Devi alone. From the spiritual point of view, such leaving is never actual leaving. Some intelligent persons will understand this. All these pastimes are performed for the deliverance of the fallen souls. Hearing of such pastimes melts even stones. If even a Muslim hears such pastimes as the lamentation of Lord Ramachandra when he lost Sita, he will certainly cry. Lord Nityananda Prabhu left home wandering to the holy places by his own sweet will and ecstasy. The Lord first went to Vakrishvara, and then he went to Vaidyanath. From Vaidyanath he went to Gaya, and then to Kasi, the abode of Lord Shiva, where the Ganges flows towards the north. Lord Nityananda was extremely pleased to see the Ganges. He took bath and drank some water, yet this could not relieve his grief. In the month of Magha, January, the Lord took early morning baths at Prayag. Then he went to Mathura, his former birthplace. Lord Nityananda sported in the waters of the river Yamuna at Vishramagat. Then he went with great curiosity to see Govardhan Hill. He visited each of the 12 forests, beginning with Vrindavan. When he saw the house and courtyard of Nanda Maharaj at Gokul, he sat down and cried profusely. After offering his obeisances to Madan Gopal, Lord Nityananda left for Hastinapur, the abode of the Pandavas. Seeing the Pandavas home, he began to cry. The local people, due to lack of devotion, were unable to understand the Lord's sentiments. Remembering Lord Balaram's glorious activities in Hastinapur, he called out, "O Haladhara, please save me," and then offered obeisances. Nityananda Prabhu then went to Dwarka, where he joyfully took bath in the ocean. He next went to Siddhapur, the place of Lord Kapil. Then he went to Matsyatirtha, where he served prasad at a festival. He then visited Shiva Kanchi and neighbouring Vishnu Kanchi. He smiled when he saw the followers of Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu quarrelling with each other. He also visited Kurukshetra, Pritudaka, Bindu Sarovara, Prabhasha, and Sudarshanatirtha. He then visited the exalted holy place called Tritakupta. He went to Vilasa, Brahmatirtha, and Chakratirtha. The Lord visited Patisrota, where the Saraswati river flows in the opposite direction. The most magnanimous Lord Nityananda then went to Naimisharanya. He next visited the city of Ayodhya, where he cried upon seeing the birthplace of Lord Ram. From Ayodhya, he proceeded to Chandala Guhaka's kingdom, where he fell unconscious by remembering the activities of Chandala Guhaka. Lord Nityananda remained in an ecstatic trance for 3 days. Seeing the forest where Lord Ramachandra had resided, he rolled in the ground in separation. He then went to both the Sarayu and Kushiki rivers and took bath. He saw the ashram of Pulyasya Rishi and next took bath in the Gomati, Gandaki and Sona rivers. He also climbed to the top of Mahendra mountain. There he offered obeisances to Lord Parashuram. He then visited Haridwar, the source of the Ganges. The Lord took bath at the Pampa, Bhimarati, Venva and Vipasa rivers. After seeing Kartikeya at Madurai, the most intelligent Lord Nityananda went to Sri Saila, the abode of Shiva and Parvati. Shiva and Parvati live on this mountain in the form of a Brahmin couple. When Lord Nityananda arrived there, Shiva and Parvati understood that their most worshipful Lord was wandering on pilgrimage as a mendicant. Most satisfied to receive such a guest, Parvati happily cooked for the Lord. They fed the Lord with their loving affection, and Lord Nityananda smiled and offered them his respects. Only Lord Krishna knows about their confidential discussions. Lord Nityananda then continued his journey, going to Dravida Desha. The Lord visited Venkatanath, Kamakoshti, Puri, Kanchi, and the river Kaveri. There the Lord visited the sacred places of Sri Ranganath. Then he went to Harishetra, Rishabha Mountain, Madurai, and the Kritamala, Tamraparini, and Uttara Yamuna rivers. He visited the ashram of Agastya Rishi in the Malaya hills. The residents there were all jubilant to see the Lord. The Lord stayed as a guest in the ashram and departed in deep ecstasy for Bhadraka ashram. Lord Nityananda stayed in seclusion for some days at the ashram of Nararayan Rishi. He went to the ashram of Srila Vyasadeva, who recognized that he was Lord Balaram. Srila Vyasadeva personally received Lord Nityananda as a guest, and the Lord offered his obeisances to him. The Lord then visited a Buddhist monastery where he found the residents all sitting together. The Lord asked questions, but no one replied. Becoming angry with them, the Lord kicked them in the head. They all simply smiled and ran away. Lord Nityananda thus fiercely continued his travels through the forest. He eventually arrived in Kanyakumari. After seeing Goddess Durga there, he went to see the southern ocean. He then went to Anantapura, and thereafter he went to Panchapashara Kund. He next visited the temple of Lord Shiva known as Gokarna. He visited Kerala and the various places in Trigartha. He also visited Goddess Parvati, who dwells on an island near Gokarna. The Lord then visited the Nrivindya, Payosni, and Tapi rivers. He went to the city of Mahishmati on the bank of the Reva River and saw Malatirtha. The Lord then passed through the holy district of Suparaka on his way to the west. In ecstasy, Nityananda Prabhu travelled in this way without fear of anyone. He had no control over his body due to ecstatic love for Krishna. Sometimes he cried and sometimes he laughed. Who could understand his ecstatic moods? Accepting Sri Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu as my life and soul, I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of their lotus feet. Nityananda ki jai.